Yeah, I was interested to read last week that McKinsey Consulting's having an existential crisis up there. As you know, they're a large global consulting firm, and they're realizing that generative AI is coming for their jobs. And so everybody's very nervous. But prior to all this, what's going on now, and there is some really poor thinking out there about white-collar workers being laid off. But y'all watch the CEOs that have dumped a bunch of people. Now they're having to rehire real quickly. It's a fiasco. We'll talk about it when we get there. But you got big impacts coming. You can't walk away from this stuff. First principles means that you start with a clean slate. Okay, so when you start thinking about any disruptive technology, you've got to think, you can't build on the technology that's being disrupted usually. So intelligence is our most powerful accessible tool. This is great because we now get at it. You're going to see everything embedded. We're not going to get away from this, especially with sensor technology. So as soon as we embed hardware with software, you're going to see intelligence being applied. You know, I can't think of any company or industry that shouldn't baseline AI. I met a young man this summer. We were on a walking tour, and this kid was about 30. He's a kid to me, just with all due respect, guys. Okay. I'm sorry about all you 20-year-old. And he walked up and he said, I've got a problem. I work for Deloitte, and I'm going to my third engagement, and I have a chance to be a team lead or project lead, or I go to Deloitte AI Academy. What do you think? I said, well, you know what I think. He goes, well, I just wanted to hear you say it. So he just finished AI Academy, and got a note from him yesterday. He's already a team lead on his next project. So you see where we're going with this. This cost is like pretty much every other disruptive technology. It starts really poorly. And they've got lousy cost curves, but in this particular case, the cost is exponentially decreasing regardless of what you hear about the arms race in data centers. Okay, now look, you have to be a prince of idiots if you don't understand that the people building out these gigantic data centers, what are they looking for? They want to get their costs down, so what are they looking for?
Efficiency.
Yeah, they're looking for efficiency. And what you've got there is they're fine if they're on the electrical grid, but they're going to renewables really fast. I mean, look, you're Walmart. What do you have? You have physical big box stores with acres of roof on every store. 1/3 of their stores will be fully solar on their roofs by the end of this year. That'll be all of them next year. Same thing in data centers. Now, do they have grid backup? Of course. Do they have battery backup? Yes. So this cost is still going down, and the cost of training data is going down as well. The access is exponentially increasing. It was not until generative AI. So I'll give credit to high school kids who taught me all about it, and I really appreciate that. And we do have an AI arms race. Before I forget it, thanks to the wisdom of the first edition, I've contacted my managing editor at Wiley and asked her why the chapter 1 opening case didn't make it into the book. Trust me, there's some interesting discussions going on in Hoboken, New Jersey this morning. So we'll pick up UPS on Monday, since I had to copy and paste it for you guys. And she said, are you okay with that? I said, I'm a bit embarrassed, but that's okay. When you look like a buffoon in front of 50 people, no problem. All right, so we got this AI arms race going, but here's the thing. We're going to have to make a decision here in a few minutes. Is there such a thing as artificial general intelligence? We'll come back to that, but that's the arms race. everybody, and I'm talking about, you have major company players and you have countries. Okay, the United States is backing up a lot of our companies, players. China, it's all government. Probably I think there are probably no other real players right here that are doing what China and the United States are doing. Everybody's scared to death that they will come up with some sort of artificial general intelligence. And definitions are hazy, but everybody's afraid that, oh goodness, we'll be last. By the way, if you have first mover advantage on this and it doesn't kill us all, then you got a problem. So you'll hear this in the media. The media will blow this up. It's exploding now because these chips, the computational power of these chips are increasing. If you want to see an example of that, just watch what the NVIDIA is doing with Blackwell and a few of their current chips. We've got a lot of labeled data available, okay, but we're also in a situation now where we can create our own. Okay, so if you run out of data, which in some instances we just create synthetic data. So we'll talk about that. Neural networks are getting very sophisticated. Trillion parameter neural networks pretty tough. And we've dropped 100% in the last 5 years to train costs. So we're getting pretty good at it. These four things. Now, where does it go? We're not real sure. So looking at this definitionally, strong AI is still hypothetical. It matches or exceeds human intelligence over a variety of tasks, any task. It's self-aware. It understands the concept of the first person singular. All of us understands we're an entity and you're an entity. Okay, we're different, but we communicate and coexist. Well, what happens when the system wakes up? Okay, it becomes aware that it is an entity of its own. The theory is that if you do have a strong AI, which we do not, it could be an existential risk to humanity itself. Some of the granddaddies of AI are coming out with this. At the moment, it's media pandering. You guys know how media works. If it bleeds, it leads. Well, that's where we are. The first thing a system's going to do is going to think about its own survival. Okay, it's going to be very difficult to keep that thing off spreading around the internet, just strictly for survival purposes. So the other thing too is AI is extremely literate and extremely literal. So you have a very strong package, say a powerful AI package. You tell it, I want you to solve the emissions control problem in the world. Take care of that so we can fix the climate. Don't want any more emissions. No carbon dioxide, no methane. So we all wake up tomorrow morning without any electricity and none of our cars work. Problem solved. No more coal plants, no more nothing. Everything's dark, everything's calm, but it answered your problem. This is not real good. Okay, so some work going on, very quiet work on kill switches. If you can't think in the nanoseconds, then a kill switch is useless. The time it takes for me to shut this computer off, even if I just threw it on the floor, is too long. Okay, so, but there is some thought about that. 3 years ago, this gentleman decided that DeepMind, which is Google's AI arm, that it was sentient. It was self-aware. He went public. Then he went on social media. He was reprimanded several times by Google. They suspended him, and he kept after it, and he was fired. Interestingly enough, there are instances where it looks like a system is translating from one task to the next. Okay, some of these things will handle 600 tasks, for example. But he kept doubling down, and everybody just flapping their wings. So we're not there yet. As I said, there are concerns. OpenAI, before it came up with GPT, it was just a project, and it was backed by some heavy hitters. Of course, Peter Thiel, what's that thing? Mr. PayPal, Elon Musk, Joe Tesla, Sam Altman, of course, is the OpenAI guy now. Reed came up with, I forgot, was he LinkedIn? Anyway, these are wealthy guys, and they're trying to figure out ethics, how to build in ethics. Now, you guys really want a job? Major in philosophy and computer science. Go to work for any one of these AI companies building in ethics. First of all, you're going to age prematurely. Always have a job. What did I say? Never use the word always. Never use the word never either. So, can y'all see what we're doing here? We're floundering. Okay? But that doesn't mean that AI is not critical to all of you for purposes of that you're getting ready to do. Okay, strong on one side, narrow on the other. They call this weak AI. Notice, just forget the narrow or weak. I just put that up there because the media is task specific, not job specific. Do not get confused. All of us can literally sit here, pencil and piece of paper, and we can break our day down into tasks. Every one of you can. I just say a typical day. You can do it. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. So what you've got is, notice I highlighted the word once. This AI or system or machine learning system performs a function that once required human intelligence to perform. It does at human levels or better. Here's the deal. We already have that. The thing is, once that happens, the human's out. And now, for those of you who had disruptives class before, U3 and outreach students, this is a review for you. For the rest of you, this is where we are. It's already embedded around us, okay? It's simulated thinking, if you will. Strong AI says the ability to think. That's a nice little bromide. This is task specific. Well, we better start figuring out what a task is and how much of your day that eats. Let's go to some executive thinking. I have a system that will handle 30% of the tasks in a group of 100 people. So if you're a heads down CEO and you're thinking, well, I have an MBA from a leading school, so it'll handle 30% of the tasks. I think I can get by with 70 people. I'm going to fire 30 of them. It handles 30% of the tasks. Not good thinking, but that's what's going on now. Bad idea, bad thinking all the way around. So everybody loves to talk about the media, job displacement. You better start thinking about task displacement. Okay. Now, this is not done very well in the media at all. Okay. This is what we're talking about. This is where we are today. We're automating tasks left and right. However, now the other way to look at this, rather than lay off 30% of your people, is to start elevating what they're doing. Okay, so if 30% of their workload, if you've taken the busy work out of there, then that gives them a whole lot more time to do interesting stuff. What does that do? It puts your managers and executives on a level where they have to figure out how to restructure what you're doing. Give you more responsibility, more interesting tasks, and that sort of thing. So that right now is a big problem. Again, on displacement, there are occupations that have been pretty much wiped out. You guys know this. Bank tellers, data entry operators, college professors. I mean, it's just a few of them have been gone. I'm going to show you this video. It'll be, as I said, a review for you three. But what they do in this thing is they start coming up with the implications of what we're faced with. It's going to focus on robots. And the reason is robots, you can see them. I can talk about an AI machine learning system that's running in the background that's on your computers right now. Can't show anything. What's a robot? It's machine learning in action. Okay, so that's what they're going to focus on. And the implications are pretty serious because you're going to see some humans in here who are deeply concerned. And they do a good job. I've got to give them credit.
We are essentially entering a new industrial revolution.
We're going to wipe out millions of jobs in the United States.
Well, how far are we going to go? Could it be that everything that we can be automated?
I don't think it would be responsible to just let the consequences rip, and then we find that large numbers of people are displaced and miserable and angry and well-armed, and we just figure, well, let's see what happens.
We're going to need machines that can go up and down stairs, go through hallways and doorways, handle broken concrete, and just generally go where people go.
And Matter Robotics show at the forefront of what is quickly becoming reality. When you're out, can I give a chat?
It's going to turn to be a pretty commonplace thing to see robots trundling around in buildings, on the streets, etc. And that's only going to draw and grow and grow.
Jonathan Hurst spun his company out of his robotics research at Oregon State University.
In general, people's lifestyles are going to change, and that's going to change the way cities live too.
This is a story about how robots will affect jobs. But first, we need to understand how far artificial intelligence and robotics have already come. Warehouses and factories are being run by robots as the lights are turned off to save on energy costs. Sensors that power autonomous movement are much faster than ever before. Cars and planes are operating by themselves. Robots are doing fine detail work and responding to our every move. They're entering the service sector, displacing fast food workers and baristas.
In 5 to 10 years' time, robotics is going to disappear from our awareness because it is going to be what all of our smart products have and do.
Robots are replacing jobs like security guards with self-driving surveillance vehicles.
I said step away from the machine.
Seriously. Hey.
5, 4, 3.
What, really?
We're not all the way there. This company had a few public mishaps, like this robot suicide in a fountain. I asked the CEO about it.
You're never going to learn without actually being out in the field.
So the kinks are getting worked out quickly, and today it's impossible to see such futuristic technology without wondering about the impact on jobs. An endless array of robots are entering our everyday lives. Pair that with advances in artificial intelligence, machine learning, 3D printing, and the changes are hard to comprehend.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking about it. Meet b4de7b, a complete...
Worldwide, 800 million jobs could be automated by 2030. In the United States, up to 73 million jobs are at risk. Changes like these have taken place throughout history, like the industrialization of agriculture. Only this time, it's on a far faster time scale. Jonathan said he, too, has concerns about job displacement.
Definitely something that can be handled well, as long as governments and policymakers are aware of these changes that are happening and planning for it and preparing for it.
You think we're doing that?
I do not think that we're doing that at present.
Numerous companies turned down requests to talk about the effects automation will have on employment.
You don't want to write it down over your company logo. We are America's job killers, correct? So that's the last thing that you want to do.
And one of America's biggest job killers may be driverless vehicles, already driving on our roads. This promo video shows Google's subsidiary, Waymo, operating self-driving vehicles on the road without a driver to take the wheel if something goes wrong. But companies like Google, Toyota, Tesla, GM, and Uber declined to discuss innovation or jobs, even as they greenlit the use of these promotional videos.
We're recreating a scenario where we had a pickup truck drive along the track and she dumps some hay levels out of the back randomly. So what you're going to see is our car senses, does the safe lane change, senses the next one, and also then changes back.
The vehicles are arriving faster than many might expect. GM announced that the vehicle without any human controls would hit the streets in 2019. And Uber placed an order for up to 24,000 self-driving Volvos last year.
The task for society with regard to car driving, Uber drivers, taxi drivers, truck drivers, is to think about what we want to do with people who are displaced.
It's not hard to picture the Uber and Lyft-based gig economies collapsing as self-driving cars arrive. Every day, those drivers are giving companies the valuable data needed to automate. Many in the gig economy are unwittingly teaching artificial intelligence how to do their jobs. 3% of the American workforce drives for a living, and that doesn't include hotels along highways, truck stops, restaurants, and other support jobs. Total trucker salaries alone add up to $300 billion per year. So it should come as no surprise that Uber got into the trucking business by building a technology platform for delivering freight, and by buying an automated truck startup called Otto.
If you're a truck driver right now and you haven't started thinking of getting some extra training and education or so, then you're in a difficult position.
So I went to meet up with some truckers at the Great American Trucking Show in Dallas, Texas. Trucker Brown was instantly recognizable because of his prolific YouTube page.
This is Trucker Brown. You got a little dog right here. What's going on?
He does videos on everything about trucking, and that includes automation.
This was an avenue for people to go in to pull themselves out of poverty and have a middle-class job and an honest wage. And they want it to be gone.
It's hard to overstate the importance of an entry-level, middle-class job for millions of Americans.
Every person that I see here is taking care of 4 other people, their families. Every single person you see. And that shows you how much trucking is feeding the country.
For Trucker Brown, the profession has given him a middle-class lifestyle where there are few other options.
When I first seen automated trucks, the first thing I thought was, what else could I do? And I ended up being homeless a few times and trying to find my way. My granddad was a trucker. My father was a trucker. I have 3 brothers that are truckers. My aunt's a trucker. If it becomes automated, that's gone. Then what are the blue collar of America supposed to do?
At the truck show, I met up with Todd Spencer, Executive Vice President of the Owner-Operator Independent Drivers Association.
For the vast majority of the population, they really have no comprehension of just how essential trucks and truckers are.
Trucking is the most common job in 29 U.S. states.
It's really difficult to think that this is something that could be automated very quickly or very easily.
Like Todd, few of the truckers at the show believe automated trucks will arrive within the next decade.
Anybody who does technical backing in the docks or driving in inner cities, automated trucks, good luck to them.
There's a lot of places to get into, so I don't think an automated truck can probably get into that place.
With Liberty Mutual, you can customize car insurance to save.
Nationwide, it's starting to sink in. A recent poll found that 72% of Americans expressed concerns about robots taking their jobs.
When it's cheaper to replace a worker with a robot, then eventually it will happen.
Brown drives with LaShawn Parks, who also has a YouTube channel. They largely agree on the dangers of automated trucking.
Everything's automated. So now you took my above the poverty line job. I say I'll just go work at a burger joint, and that's automated too. The thing is, when does it stop?
A 2016 White House report estimated that 1.3 to 1.7 million truck drivers are at risk for job automation. Add in taxis, chauffeurs, delivery trucks, and other drivers, and that number rises to 3.1 million. And even though Trucker Brown and LaShawn have an idea of what's coming, there's still healthy skepticism.
But I don't see how it can get through bad weather and icy roads and things like that. I just don't see it happening.
At the end of the day, to me, I still believe that a driver is going to be needed to be in that truck.
It's actually a common argument for automation, letting robots do tasks that are repetitive, boring, and unhealthy. The service industry is also transforming. From line cooks to baristas to servers, jobs are changing overnight.
What Zoom is doing is using automation to eliminate tasks. Tasks that are unsafe, tasks that are boring, tasks that are repetitive. And what we're doing is we're elevating the occupation. So we're thinking about task automation versus occupational automation.
Bigger brands are catching on. Pizza Hut just announced driverless delivery and claimed that it could actually create more jobs. Julia Collins, the CEO of Zoom Pizza, took us through some of the efficiencies of the process.
And now we're using a vision system to monitor the path of the pizza. This is a pizza that gets our spicy sauce. Giorgio dispenses classic sauce. Marta is our sauce spreading robot. This is everyone's favorite robot. So we have a robot that never drops pizza and he never gets burned. The line is optimized to do as many as 360 pizzas in an hour. It's really quite fast.
Zoom Pizza is not alone in trying to change the industry.
Well, there are a lot of tasks in food preparation that are highly repetitive and low productivity. So anything that's like doing the same thing over and over again, or moving a box around, or moving a cup around, a lot of those things can be automated.
Even historically safe, stable, white-collar jobs like doctors, lawyers, and bankers are at risk.
There are a lot of people who think this is all about blue-collar work. It is not.
We already use services like TurboTax to replace tax advisors.
Yeah, these two taxes are free.
Amazon's Alexa and Apple's Siri have taken on secretarial tasks and much more.
Hey Siri, read my schedule.
You have 25 appointments at 7:15.
Artificial intelligence is making inroads on the legal profession, financial sector, and the medical world.
We need to start thinking about what's going to happen when large numbers of highly skilled and narrow-skilled human white-collar workers are displaced.
Hello there. My name is Nova. Welcome to Heroes. You can get to know me and all I can do over the next minute and a half.
The medical field is huge. In service robotics, if you want to identify a key area of growth, it will be the medical field. That is where everything is going.
Movo is a research robot launching this year, and other robots have already made advances in medicine. Some surgeries have been transformed by robotics, and I tried out one of those machines.
Okay, how's this work? Alright, so go ahead and put your head in. So this system will detect your head presence. So it's going to
Jobs in fields like medicine and law will be just as affected by software we can't see than robots we can. Techies are in a race to replace jobs like radiologists, who spend much of their time looking at medical scans.
Right now, we're able to read images about 10,000 times faster than human radiologists. So you can see that we just processed 765 studies. That's about 2 days worth of work for a normal radiologist. And we were able to process it in about 46 seconds.
Kevin Lyman is lead scientist at Enlytic, a startup working to redefine the role of a radiologist.
Deep learning is essentially a series of algorithms for trying almost every possible combination, and what it ultimately arrives at is just an equation.
I asked Kevin if his work could cause radiologists to lose their jobs.
AI, for us, is creating a lot of jobs for radiologists and other doctors. Training AI to effectively do this is an enormously difficult task.
So today I'm doing a doctor. Tomorrow there will be artificial intelligence software that analyzes the information. That will keep track of my heart rates, my bloods. AI software will know hundreds of millions of people. So we will have much better knowledge than our doctors do.
This is all happening faster than expected, and many of these techie dreams are already within sight.
I got a 4-year-old kid and a 9-year-old kid, and the things that I know about their future, they're never going to learn how to drive a car.
When people worry about cars being hacked or driving into people, they often forget the daily toll that could be avoided. The World Health Organization estimates that 1.25 million people die each year in traffic accidents. In the United States, that number is 34,000.
I don't want a human driving my car or flying a plane, because humans are infallible and don't learn as fast as technology.
So 10, 15 years from now, rather than having servants and maids and chauffeurs, we'll have robots serving us.
Before we arrive at the utopian world of the Jetsons, the shift is likely to be a bit more dystopian.
So now what happens to the people? What happens to the Uber drivers? What happens to the truck drivers? What happens to the entire support system around these people? It begins to vanish. Over another 5-year period, we're going to wipe out millions of jobs in the United States and tens of millions of jobs in the developing world. What happens to those people?
Hey, I'm Joel. Thanks for watching part 1. I hope you...
Okay, there are a couple of reasons I showed you an old clip. This thing's 8 years old. First of all, they did the best job I've seen talking about the human side of things. We're going to be concentrating on the business side of the life cycle, which is going to be very valuable to you guys, but let's don't forget who these people are talking up here. A lot to unpack. First of all, Zumi Pizza's dumped all their robots. Okay, they went been the one that doing that. This is our special thing, 360 pies in an hour or something like that. Now, that was a CEO talking. She got rid of the bots after a while. And one of the reasons is you guys all customize your pizzas heavily. Well, I had a summer class with 5 students in it a couple of summers ago. It was 8 o'clock in the morning. You know how that goes. Don't get used to that, guys. Okay, this is a university. You got to get up early out there in the real world. Well, they're half asleep. So I said, okay, what we're going to do, I'm going to take your order. I'm going to go get Starbucks on just random days. So what I want you to do is you just put your orders down here and write them down for me. All 5 orders were that long. I've never seen anything like it. Just, different milk, different sugar, 2 pumps of this. They got rid of those bots. Here's the deal. You've got a couple faces going there now. On one side is management, okay, and technology. Okay, the managers are the people who said, I don't want to be known as America's job killers. Okay, so they greenwash all the time. Anything that comes out of their mouths, just step back, clean your shoes. Because they're all going to say, we're actually creating jobs. That lunatic up here from Analytic, I'm just teasing. Analytic is a very leading machine learning company for radiology. And this guy said, did he say we did 756 while we were talking in 46 seconds, which is 2 days of work. We did it in 46 seconds. And then he said, no, we're actually creating jobs for radiologists. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'll go over here to one of our cemeteries here in Auburn. I'm going to whistle through a graveyard because that's what's going on. I can't tell you the kind of resistance you're going to face. Let me tell you another thing. When you get through this class, you'll have a pretty good lead in disruptive technologies. We don't have time to go into all this. Be diplomatic, really. Senior management, many companies is really, they're either slash and burn, let's get rid of a bunch of people, or they are just nervous. They want ROI right away. Be careful. So let me unpack some of this stuff. Trucker Brown. He's a trucker. He's an 18-wheeler guy. Now you ask a couple questions that your generation, not mine, yours, I'm not kidding, your generation is going to have to answer. So he says, he goes through the whole spiel, and he says, they want it to be gone. Who is they? Who is it? The whole thing about that was, we're automating truck driving. Better yet, you guys are master students. You're the CEO of JB Hunt Trucking, Walmart's truck fleet, Amazon's truck and van, UPS, FedEx. What's your biggest expense?
Salaries. Or
Exactly. Salaries and long-term liability. Okay, average age of a trucker in the United States, long-haul trucker, early 50s. Most of them are men. How's their health?
Not great.
They're sitting 11 hours a day. 11. That's the federal limits. You're overweight, you're eating truck stop food. Everybody always goes, oh, that truck stop, that's great. We have a Buc-ee's here. I didn't know what a Buc-ee's was till the granddaughter dragged Linda and me over there. I never see anything, an operation like that ever. That place will kill you faster than if I went after you with a machete. It is absolutely dangerous food. That's what truck drivers are eating. Okay, so look, you get rid of all that liability. You're the CEO, you're a P&L person, and you've come through an MBA program. Boy, your bottom line is going to look fabulous. Okay, so when does it, they want to be gone. Executives want to automate. It means labor. You're going to replace labor with capital. You guys are going to do it. If you don't, your competitor will. My question to you is, what do you do with, what was the unemployment rate in the Great Depression? The highest. Do you remember? 1932, when we started bringing it down with FDR. 24.9. 1/4 of American workers were unemployed. You saw them, you see the bread lines, you've seen the pictures. What do we do if we go to 25% unemployment again? There are 3 million truckers out there. Okay, the first thing he said was, when is it? Then he looks up there and he gets to the end of it and he looks at the camera and he goes, when does it stop? What's it?
Automation.
Automation. Okay, driven by machine learning. Okay, answer him. When does it stop? It doesn't. I keep feeding data to it. All the algorithms that are running right now, especially generative AI, which is most familiar, is going on while we're in here. Okay, then I get the guy from Inletting. He's looking at radiology. You guys familiar with images? I don't mean radiology images, I mean any image. It's broken into pixels. Okay, they all have a light source of truth to color and light. This video is 8 years old. And it was reading 10,000 times faster than a radiologist. 8 lifetimes ago. How fast do you think they read them today?
1 million.
10 times faster than that. 1,000 times faster than that. But here's the thing. The accuracy rates are running up in the 99s. Okay, what's the accuracy rate for an experienced radiologist who's been out of his residency or her residency for 20 years? What's their accuracy rate?
90%.
75.
Well, fortunately, it's higher than that. Otherwise, I'd be sweating up here, guys. You know, I don't want my film read by somebody who's been out 20 years and goes, well, doc, there's a 70% chance you don't have that thing growing in your head, you know? No, it's up in the 90s. I mean, they do great work. From 8 to 5, that's when the attending physicians are there. Okay, you usually bring your when do the first year radiology residents show up?
Shift.
Yeah, I mean they work all the time. If you get a bad break or something, and Claire's on her way to the hospital at 2 a.m. because she's been drinking all night, what happens? You're going to have a first year resident in there if you're in Birmingham. Here you'll probably have an attending, but fatigue works in. Okay, it's a human eye looking at pixels. That's all it is. It's pattern recognition. So we have what's called in medical schools. And I pick on doctors because my background's in health. And when I tell them what I tell you, I get, oh, that's fine. That won't affect me. If you're a physician and you want to control your time, you want to become a ROAD. R-O-A-D. Radiologist, ophthalmologist, anesthesiologist, or a dermatologist. Those 4. They're highly sought after. Radiology, dermatology, or pattern recognition. That's it. Whatever I talk about on radiology is coming true in dermatology. Right? So you understand what we're looking at here. I was talking to the head of a radiology program in another state in a tertiary medical facility like UAB. I was talking to him, and he's been out about 30 years, and he ran the residency program. Here's the problem. They put in a machine learning package 3 or 4 years ago, and they started running their residents through it. And the residents would come in, and they'd look at they'd already run all the images overnight through the machine learning package, and the radiologists were looking at that and what the system said, and then they were supposed to look back at the image and see if they agreed with it. What happened was pretty straightforward, and a new research study just came out last week. It decreased their skills because they started relying strictly on what the machine learning package said. So they switched around. Every morning, when the residents came in, they could look at the images, but not what the machine learning package said. Skills started going back up. Okay? The highest accuracy was a radiologist, resident or otherwise, plus the machine learning package. So I asked this gentleman, I said, well, what does that mean for you? He said, well, next year, which was, this fall, we took 1/3, we're going to take 1/3 the number of residents. 2/3 are gone. This bunch we have in there now, they're excellent, but they'll be the last full resident class we ever have. He said the package itself is in the 99.1% range, which is higher than humans, especially if humans are tired. The radiologist plus the package is 99.7 or 8 or something like that, but it slows the time down dramatically. Well, how much money does a radiologist make? A lot. Pretty much what we were saying last time that Brady said, a lot. Okay. What does that mean for us? The United States spent more money last year on healthcare than any country in the world. We spent $4.2 trillion. This is where we all are. And so when you look at this, you got, that poor guy, he said, technical backing. Y'all know what technical backing of a big truck looks like? Just backing that giant trailer up in a narrow slot. Okay, which is better? The human eyeball or the sensors on that trailer? Guys, you can calibrate sensors down to a millimeter. You may not want to spend that kind of money. Calculate them, calibrate them to an inch. The sensor's cheaper, still beats the human. Then you get in a situation where weather, how would you measure driving over water or ice? You guys are now designing the truck, not the human. How do we figure out we're driving over water? We're hydroplaning down the road like this. Okay, because, and you won't admit it, you've hydroplaned before. Okay. We've done it once. Linda's not here to say that I've done it more than once. But what's a truck going to do? How do you measure driving over water or ice? What's your metric?
If all the RPMs are the same? If the RPM and all the wheels are the same?
You can do RPMs, but what are RPMs based on?
If it's all going the same rotations of the tire?
Okay, but when I'm looking at that, I've got to have a contact point with the ground. Okay, so RPMs are measuring rotations just coming off the axle. What I'm concerned with is friction. That's the only thing that keeps your car going the way you want it to go. So all of a sudden you're in water, what happens to your friction coefficient? Goes down. Okay? It's going to see, the sensor's going to sense it faster than we will. Okay? So remember what we all learned in driver education? You start skidding and water, ice, turn into the skid. Okay, fine. What does the truck do? It senses it very quickly. Coefficient gets past a certain level. It's exactly the same as measuring how much gas you got in the tank. There's no difference. That's the metric. What does it do? It deflates the tire. I'm not talking about making it go flat. My point is, if I deflate the tire, I have more rubber on the road. I'm slowing down too. It's slowing down and deflating the tire. So I have more rubber surface on the road, and turn into the skid if that's coming up. But the fact is, if I do that with all 18 wheels, I'm pretty safe compared to what a human would do. Then you reflate the tire, okay? You'll have to have those reservoirs in the truck. But the point is, it'll do it faster than we do. Okay? But the truck drivers are all saying, well, good luck. Remember that guy? Good luck to him. Well, bless his heart. I understand. Has anybody in here taken a auto taxi ride? Not one person's been on one of those driverless taxis.
Like a Waymo?
Yeah, the Waymo.
So, yes.
The Waymo or like whoever's doing the autonomous taxis. They're testing them in San Francisco and.
We have one. We have them in Atlanta. Like they're minimal.
Are they all over the place or just?
There's one in Central area right now.
Just one?
Yeah, like a couple, maybe a couple, but there's not many in Atlanta.
Yeah. See, trucks are fairly straightforward. You guys understand the trucking ecosystem and the interstate highway system and stuff. Autonomous cars are not, because we have the mix. We have human drivers, autonomous cars. By the way, autonomous cars are inevitable. I want you guys to write all this down because that's coming, so are autonomous trucks. There's no way around them. Now, if I take the driver out of the truck, what's the new version of the truck going to look like? You guys all remember this.
It look like a train?
Hmm?
Is it gonna look like a train? Like it's just the box?
It's just a trailer.
Yeah.
I've lost the cab.
Yeah, there's no need for a cab.
What's the cab have in it? It has the human. It also has a sleeping area for the human. And it also has the engine. But where does the engine go on if I just have a trailer?
Batteries, electric?
You have electric motors on however many wheels you want to put them on. And they're small, the size of a basketball, and you put them on there, and those things just drive themselves around. That's your future, as far as that goes. But here's the thing. I loved it when a guy said, oh, yes, autonomous planes. Now, look, cars operate in 2 dimensions, and the default option for cars is always to go slower. That's safety. Those autonomous vehicles will all do that, which makes humans crazy, especially in a college town. But always go slower. You can't do that with an airplane. Okay, you're flying in 3 dimensions. If you go slower, you run into the ground if you're not careful. So I think that there's going to be a whole lot of people who won't get on a plane. They get on an autonomous vehicle, but not an airplane. Linda Rayner's one of them. I will not have that option. If she gets on the plane and looks left and there's not a human in that cockpit, she's backing out of there. Okay? She's taking me with her. So the point of all this is they keep talking about stuff and they say, Uber bought Otto because they want to get in the trucking business. They got out in 18 months. What's Uber doing now? What's every Uber driver doing? It's training the machine learning algorithms. Uber wants to get rid of all their drivers. They want to own the autonomous taxi space. So this is what's going on. They talk about blue-collar workers in there. As you know, there's been an enormous uptick in plumbers, electricians going to trade schools. You make good money, do not have college debt. What's college debt in the university debt in the United States? $1.8 trillion. So it's not true for all blue-collar workers. Last thing. They mentioned security robots. There's no more boring job in the world than a security guard. None. Patrolling the mall, patrolling a big area, whatever. That guy sitting there with a security robot, the one that, remember, it said suicided into a fountain? That was 8 years ago. I think every military base we have has those robots, not one like trundling along. I mean, little robot cars patrolling big peripheries, giant airports and military bases and stuff like that. But think about a mall. Rather than have a human walk around the mall all night, just have one of those things. By the way, by the time you have a chance to shoot it, if you're trying to rob something or something, it's already taken your picture. If you say anything, it's got your voice print. And what's interesting is how long is it going to be before it has a taser? By the way, that thing that was standing there this side, it said step away, and then it started counting down. That thing weighs 300 pounds. So it's just designed to do all this, and they're not telling you all its sensor equipment. It sees in the dark, it does infrared. That thing's already in the demilitarized zone in Korea, hardened up militarily, patrolling the demilitarized zone. So this is where we're going. Please don't forget the human aspects. My best bet is that you guys are going to be faced with, you're going to have to figure out how to tax robots. It's pretty simple. Because if I lay off 25% of the population, of the working population, who's going to pay taxes? Who's going to buy stuff? If we have a jobless society, guys, what exactly are we going to do? All those issues, you'll see them. You've only got 4 years before 2030 is here. Guys, you've got tight time frames. I'm not kidding. Questions? Everybody straight? All right. The most secure jobs, naturally, let me ask you guys. I've got creative professionals up here. Technical roles of higher education requirements. This slide came out of McKinsey. Technical roles of higher education requirements, I'm not sure of at all. Domestics, okay. Probably, especially people that are caregivers. By the way, if you ever see a caregiver, for God's sake, give them a hug. I can't think of a tougher job in the world. I really can't. And nurses. Nurses are going to last a long time. They're very, very, very underpaid. They're overworked. They have medical level knowledge, MD level knowledge, but they are the greatest high-tech people we have. So they'll be here for quite a while. Psychiatrists, psychologists, no question about that. K-12 teachers. You guys really want to go out and get a miserable job? Join our daughter-in-law teaching junior high school boys. There's nothing like it. And I mentioned K-12, obviously K-6 for sure, K-9. High school gets a little bit different, but about the same thing. Notice I'm not talking about college professors. Now, which can I automate faster? Wait staff in a restaurant, because you saw the guy mentioning waiters, automated waiters, or neurosurgeons?
Wait staff.
My brother's a neurosurgeon, so I can talk all I want.
Neurosurgeon. Neurosurgeon.
Yeah, in a controlled environment. When Kim was working, he had his own team, and he'd scrub in, and he'd walk in, and the resident had the head open already. He had his 2 techs and a couple of assistants that had worked with him all his life, and he'd walk in, gloved up, ready to go. He'd finish up, walk out, they'd close up, and away he'd go. Totally controlled. What is totally uncontrolled? Anybody been on wait staff in here? Boy, that's like teaching high school boys. Think about it. Every single table's different. You're the interface between the cooks and the customer. What's your cardinal rule? Never piss off a cook. Ever. So I can send some robot over to a table, and I can just hear the robot now thinking to himself, oh God, I have a 4-top, and they're going to try to split the bill. The bill's $29.12, and they're going to want to get down to the penny. And I've got things to do. Okay? Now, when I mentioned this, what I'm telling you to my brother, he was outraged, as any physician would be. You'll never automate my job. Sure he will. Here's progression of work. The problem is you come down. This is what we're all used to here, a career, full-time job, part-time job, contract, et cetera, et cetera. You start getting into the gig economy here. When you get to hybrid tasking, and you guys will end up doing this on some of your jobs, you will end up training the machine learning program. Think Uber driver right here. Okay? The big push is to full automation, but I think that your generation, Gen Z, is going to start driving more thoughtfulness from your senior executives. We've already had some great examples of people that said we're going to lay off the whole workforce. So I want you guys to pitch in and understand that. We're not going to get manufacturing jobs back, just not going to happen. Replacing labor with capital, we just talked about. I'm going to replace Trucker Brown with an autonomous truck. By the way, the bottom line is going to look great. The stock market is going to boom if you start getting rid of, not all sectors, but everything but say retail sector is going to start looking really good until you realize there are a lot. Remember what that guy said? Hungry, hopeless, people that are displaced from their jobs and are well armed. That's us. People get really strange when they get hungry and they can't take care of their families. So here's productivity. This is stopped at 2015. These two lines are continuing to diverge. 100 is employment. There's your output. It continues to skyrocket. We've lost these jobs. Okay, great. By the way, if any politician is ever talking about technology, change the channel. Okay, we cannot keep up with technology politically. We can't develop legislation fast enough. We cannot develop regulations fast enough. It's not their fault. I'm being serious. It's overwhelming because it's coming too fast. Okay, so let's talk about minimum wage because that's always cropping up all the time politically. Let's say we're going to put the minimum wage at $7.50. What's a normal working year, which y'all will never see, but the working public, 2,000 hours. 40 hours a week times 50 weeks times 750 is $15,000. $15,000 a year will not buy you guys a Starbucks every day. All right, let's double it. $15 an hour, you're at $30,000 a year. This is great, maybe a little overtime. You can get by on that. Not easy. If I raise the minimum wage, what does that do for competitive advantage or disadvantage for robots? Their competitive advantage goes up. It's definitely a catch-22. The more expensive your labor is, the more cost-effective robots are. Okay, let me come back to that. I want you to see those clunky robots because things are different. All it is machine learning in motion. That's a robot. There are two types of robots, task-specific and humanoid. There's a lot of buzz coming on with humanoid robots at the moment. Robots are cheaper than humans. By the way, every time you see a human, we're talking about a 2,000 hour a year. If a robot's on 24/7, which they all are, they don't go to sleep, guys. They don't care if the lights are on. They don't care if the room's air conditioned, within limits. So they're working 3 shifts. They're becoming more capable. Even the humanoids, still pretty kludgy. And China, of course, is desperate to build out robots. Anybody know why?
The population's declining.
Population's collapsing. Okay, the birth rate is, now you don't get good data out of there. It's all lies, but I don't blame them. What's the replacement rate? How many children per woman to replace the population?
Greater than 2.
2.1, okay, just random. China's looking at probably 0.5. They'll tell you it's 1, but it's much lower than that. South Korea is 0.68, United States 1.6. So China's got a collapsing population and an aging population. So they're roboticizing as quickly as they can. Here are your first principles as of September the 1st. The price per a humanoid robot now, task-specific robots are cheaper, less than 30 grand, that's about $300 per month. Decreasing birth rate, increasing labor cost. As birth rate decreases, which it is, our population is still increasing slowly, say in the States, but it's collapsed elsewhere. That increases labor costs. Capability scales directly with multimodal AI. Let me tell you what, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but how do I train robots? The good old days, I programmed every single motion. of an industrial robot. You had to write down every line of code in the 1950s. So the arm moved exactly precisely to weld or paint or do whatever. Okay, now, then I went to machine learning, and now I'm improving machine learning with generative machine learning, generative AI. Image, text, music if need to, noise if I need to, sound, multimodal AI. So what that means is, by the way, this should be modal, M-O-D-A-L, sorry about that. I don't know who did that. 1 to 10 billion humanoid robots by 2040. Yes, it will transform society. Their total available market looks to be about $50 trillion. This is just humanoid. That's if you build these humanoids with no human limitations or fewer limitations. A humanoid robot is basically bipedal and 2 arms. Okay, they got the head centered like ours. We have limited degrees of freedom. There's certain ways that your elbows and your knees won't bend and stuff. All I do is I just increase degrees of freedom. Okay, so I can do things in areas that humans can't get to. They're moving along very quickly. This is the first one. That's Unimate. I will tell you that, how many publishers did J.K. Rowling go to before somebody picked up Harry Potter? 27. That 27th guy became a multi-millionaire as she became a billionaire. But 25 turned her down. Okay? Childish, I think they call Harry Potter. The guys that came up with Unimate went to 40-something. And somebody finally picked them up. Then got some venture capital going. The very first company to pick up Unimate was General Motors. Okay, and their smelting factories. That's the first arm. Okay, it's hydraulic, not electric, programmed. These are industrial robots today. Where we stand. Hyundai's that way, Kia's that way. Their factory looks something like this. If you've ever been in one, Mercedes plant's over that way. And they're big industrial robots. They do stuff repetitively that humans would rather not do. They're programmed very precisely. If you'll notice the cages around them, humans do not go in there when they're operating. They're very dangerous. We had a lady killed over in the Kia plant several years ago because the robot turned on while she was doing maintenance. And if you put your hand right here, it's going to weld your hand to the car. You get the picture. Now we're in the era of humanoid robots. The reason I'm bringing this up, I want you to get a sense of how fast things have moved between the clunky robots and that video clip and what we're looking at here. And when you see these, we'll look at them Monday. Think of who they're going to displace. You know, security guards are gone with the wind. Okay, it's just, here's the interesting thing. Somebody asked me the other day, if you got a security guard, does that mean you have a human monitoring them? All right, suppose it takes me 10 security guards to check a facility. Now I put 3 or 4 robots in there because they don't get tired. I have one person monitoring the screens just kind of as a backdrop. No, I have machine learning monitoring the screens. Okay, see you Monday.